Pastor Steve here. In Colossians 1:24, the apostle says, "Who now rejoice in my sufferings for you, and fill up that which is behind of the afflictions of Christ in my flesh for his body's sake, which is the church." Paul is suffering. They've been talking about this and how there's purpose in their suffering. He says that his suffering, he fills up what is lacking in the afflictions of Christ. What does that mean? Well, the people that Paul's preaching to hadn't witnessed the sufferings of Christ personally, and Paul sees in his own sufferings a representation of the sufferings of Christ. In other words, Christ was willing to suffer for you. I'm willing to suffer for you. This is filling up those sufferings. And so you could see the love of Christ for them is really real. Suffering is predicted in our walk of faith. John 21:19, remember Jesus said to Peter, "I'm going to show you what manner of death you're going to glorify God by." David Stitton calls that a purpose-driven death. Wow. By what death will you glorify God? We'll see later on that we're partakers of his sufferings, but that leads to being sharers of his glory as well. Adoniram Judson was the first American missionary to Burma, and the Burmese emperor and Britons were all having a war, getting ready to war. When the war broke out, he had all of the white foreigners in that area arrested, handcuffed, and thrown into the death prison. Judson writes, "I was seized on the 8th of June, 1824, in consequence of the war with Bengal, and in company with Dr. Price, 3 Englishmen, 1 American, and 1 Greek, was thrown into the death prison at Ava, and we lay 11 months in fetters. The scenes we witnessed and the sufferings we underwent during that period I would fain consign to oblivion." Transferred to another prison, he was later released after 8 months. So he went to a regional leader and said, "Look, I'd like to go into this next region and preach the gospel." The man said, "No, I can't let you go there." He said, "Well, why not?" He said, "I am not afraid that my people are gullible enough to believe your gospel, but I'm afraid they will see your scars and be converted. I don't want to suffer, but if I do, may my scars point people to my scarred Savior." You think about that, Pastor Steve.